Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Brian, Sensual Goat, Neil, Duncan, OK Computer, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yo! Wow, what enthusiasm! How wonderful. I'm going to start off this Monday in a very relaxed way by covering a video that has absolutely nothing to do with the subject, other than it's very near and dear to me. So, as is always the case, I'm going to get you to go along to this videographer, which is going to be a bit of a shock because it's unrelated to the topic. But let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Now, this might give away potentially how boring I am, but if I am, lots of other people who are subscribed to this particular person are also boring like I. But he covers road journeys in the UK, and I used to be a rep driving all over the country, so I've seen, you name the town and I've been in it. And in this instance, coincidentally after coming home from a day spent right outside Warwick Castle, a little theme park that's there for my daughter's 8th birthday, which was on, it's going to be this week, but the party was over the weekend. And then I come home, first video I turn on YouTube is this, Great British Road Journeys, Warwickshire, Shipston on Stour to Kenilworth, which is basically where I live, all of the surrounding area. So if you're familiar with the show and you've seen, for example, my daughter standing underneath a windmill, the windmill that is in that particular shot is one of the things he covers, along with various other places. Here we go, there's that windmill. They've actually, typical ads play as soon as I want to talk about something actually on screen. I will shout you out in a second, Jardo, I promise. More ads. Okay, once we finally get through these ads, I will actually promote the bit I wanted to. So this is just literally in the last couple of weeks had these blades taken off it, but that's the windmill that goes by in the thumbnails that shoot by. I say thumbnails because I've often used them, but without words on the stills that go by. So you might be familiar with this, along with things like Warwick Castle and all the other places that we generally go around as a family. And it's just one of the reasons I wanted to point it out was because it's a nice place. So if you want to know what I generally get up to and where I generally live and how beautiful it is, because it is exceptionally beautiful around here, I want you to check out that video, and you can get an idea of the sort of day-to-day stuff and the road journeys that I take when I'm taking my kids to do home education classes at other people's houses. And yeah, you might spot some familiar things that you'll see in some of the shots that I take when I'm out locally doing videos, like Kenilworth Castle and Warwick Castle and various other very old buildings that we, shoot because it's nice. There you go. Please let Auto Shenanigans is the name of the channel know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I don't know if is it worth me playing a bit of the video. I don't think I will. I think I'll leave it for the audience to actually click on the link and check out the video for themselves. You've seen some of the views flashing up on screen, and he does send out a drone. So where I get fairly mediocre views of these places, he's sending out drones. Of course, I'm not being able to still on them. To get much better shots, like of the clock tower just at the road from me in Kenilworth. Anywho, check out Auto Shenanigans. Please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, because it was such a nice video. Leave him a comment. It'd be great to get this video moved along in the algorithm as he moans about the prices of the car parks in our local area. Anyway, it's good stuff. So that's just a light-hearted way of getting the week going by getting you to check out Auto Shenanigans as opposed to something that's slagging off Flat Earth. So enjoy. Hope you do. It's showing you everywhere that I live. Please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. There is a link going by in the live stream chat right now. I'll put another one because it's not on screen for me to show you. Maybe he'll make a video about us. I doubt it highly. But I will say the same call to action as I do when I share the links to anybody's video and send you on your way to let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. The reason we typically do this, if you end up watching this video, Auto Shenanigans, asking why the hell has he done this, is because we don't get very much YouTube algorithmic love because we're flat earthers. Subsequently, all the love for us goes towards our opponents when they type that into the search engine, and we invite our opponents to share our links if they were to respond to us, which they never do. So that's why people are going to your channel and saying, hey, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. So there you go. There's the explanation. Pretty much outside the remit of what you do. I'm not expecting a response or for you to say, actually, I've travelled all over the UK and I can confirm it. It's all flat. How the devil are you? Nevertheless, you'll check it out, I'm sure. That's it. Links going by. Anybody familiar with Auto Shenanigans? I highly doubt it. No? Nobody a big fan of looking at why motorways have been built?
I remember you mentioning him before.
I think he's
Does
wonderful.
he fly a drone around the place and show a place for what it is from the air, that kind of thing?
He just drives. So he's got, he's got what I would call a Retmobile. He's got an old Saab, and Ian, his mate, he got made redundant, I think, when it was COVID, and he was like, I need a living. So he had to think, how can I build a channel? He's like, well, I'll go out and I'll just film locations in the UK in the best possible way, have a little ramble about it. He got a little theme together, which was to have like a 1940s guidebook and try and follow the roads in the guidebook and go to the Michelin recommended sites rather than the modern ones. So that was his spin that he put on it. And then he started doing a series about specifically why motorways got built and any secrets of the motorway was the name of the series. And that particular series just managed to turn his channel from a couple of thousand to now like a good nearly 200,000 people just from one series about why motorways were built. Now me, I spent my, I don't know, 20s to mid-30s driving up and down all of these motorways. And I was fascinated, so I clicked on it for that reason when it was presented to me. And lots of other people have obviously done the same. But since then, like I say, he does these really nice road trips where he just shows you nice parts of the country. And some of them, most of them, I've been to. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. That place is an absolute dump. Or, oh, I agree with you. That place is picturesque. Or whatever. You might not be into it if you're not from Britain. Or you might just want to see, oh, well, what's it like to actually just live in a British town? Because you might think, well, what's it like to live in Europe? Well, we're very European, apart from maybe Kenilworth, which was bombed, apart from that clock. But generally, there's some very historic places in Britain that you can live, and especially the rural areas. People may not appreciate what it is to be a Brit or to live in this country. Now, Ireland I'm less familiar with, I've got to be honest. Ireland isn't my haunt. I didn't do much repping in Ireland. As weird as that is, I should have perhaps done. I just didn't for whatever reason. So I'm not very familiar. But Brian will perhaps agree or disagree and say, no, there's no historic stuff around here. It's all gone or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, Brian.
Well, as far as if you're making a video in a car for a road trip, Ireland is good because there's loads of winding roads. There's loads of stuff. You know what I mean? We don't have loads of motorways. We have more like winding roads and stuff. So, if the weather is nice, yeah, you like today is not too bad. Yeah, you'll get a good road trip video, definitely.
When you say motorways, are you talking about what we call expressways?
I don't
freeway,
know,
yeah, a freeway. But yeah, like a freeway near basically. I have watched. Funny you brought that up because I have watched, and I do watch from time to time, road trips throughout the Alps in Italy and Switzerland and France and different places like that, and Germany and all these kind of places, and even Japan. I watched one. I left one on the TV there, just playing in the background for 8 hours. This guy was driving from Tokyo to Mount Shasta, or no, not Mount Shasta, Mount Fuji, right? And because Japan is full of small roads and little small roads, and this guy drove every left and right you could think of for 8 hours to get to Mount Fuji. But it's really nice to see it because you get to see another place and get to see a country and the countryside and nice places without ever having to go there. Kind of. Now it's not the same as being there and experiencing it, but it is nice. So yeah, it's a good thing. I'm sure there's plenty good road trips like that, or good videos that could be made in Britain. There's lots of good stuff there to see.
Let's just see if I can get Flat Earth's attention to get himself on mute. Every time he joins, he's on server mute because he's not muted himself. Can you hear us, Flat Earther? Oh, brilliant. He's put himself on local mute. Absolutely ace.
That's a Discord issue as far as I know.
Yeah.
It's enough.
Sure. Jardo says, thanks to Brian for coming early and robbing us Discord people of some chat time. Thank you, Brian. Jardo really appreciates your talk about... What was it specifically that you wanted to talk to us in the pre-show about, Brian? Hint, hint.
Oh, well, it's about I want Flat Earth to start pushing the pitch data thing towards Will Duffy, the guy who's trying to do this 24-hour Antarctic sun thing. Because if you go to Antarctica and you see a 24-hour Antarctic sun, right, it doesn't prove that it's a globe and it doesn't prove it's not flat. If you don't see a 24-hour Antarctic sun, right, in the Antarctic summer, it disproves a globe, but it doesn't prove it's flat, even though you can kind of say, okay, it's flat because it's not a globe, but it doesn't prove. Now, someone can show me a 24-hour Antarctic sun video, and that's not going to change the geometry that I know that the Earth has, right? So there's no, or how sailing is done or anything else. So I'm not, surveying, etc. So I'm not going to accept that as proof for a globe or disproof of a flat Earth. And you know what I mean? So, and I'm sure there's globers out there. If you show them no 24-hour Antarctic sun, would still be globers because they'd come up with some way around it. Whereas the pitch data from several international air flights, right, with reputable companies, Qantas, Lufthansa, whatever, right, these kind of the big ones, the pitch data from those flights can't be argued with because it can't be falsified because every pilot in the world will know that's incorrect flight data because they're flying every day or whatever, several times a week. They know whether the flight data is correct, if the pitch data is in line with what they are used to, right? So it can't be falsified. It's totally objective. So there's no grey area. It's either flat or a globe, and the pitch data will show it or not show it. So I have a video addressed to Will Duffy on my channel, and I'm hoping people just promote that and promote the idea. Tell them, why are you going to Antarctica to do all this nonsense when you could have it would be cheaper just to get the pitch data and you don't have to worry about anyone falling off the ice wall, and whatever else. The boat sinking, because you just have to get the data. No one has to leave home, no one has to do nothing. You just get the data and that'll prove either way, because Will Duffy is stating that he wants to pay money to prove whether it's flat or a globe. Okay, but the way he's going about it is not going to prove that.
Sure, yeah, we discussed that in the pre-show too. You need to lean into it rather than push against it. Do you know what I mean? In the pre-show, I said, if you just say, well, it's not necessary, you also moaned that people are like, well, what about, you don't need the pitch data, what about surveying? Well, you're effectively saying, we don't need the Antarctic trip, what about pitch data? No, lean into the trip if you want people to take on board why it would be necessary. Yeah?
I won't, and the reason I won't is because I don't want people to be asking Will Duffy to just get the pitch data from the flight that they're going on the trip with. Because if Will Duffy sees a 24-hour Antarctic sun, whether they give us that data or give us some fraudulent data won't matter, because nobody will get to see it because they'll be too busy telling everyone it's a globe because there's a 24-hour Antarctic sun. Nobody will get to see it. The thing that debunks the Earth being a globe, nobody will get to see it. Because they'll have this 24-hour Antarctic sun that they're going to tell everyone proves the globe and it doesn't.
Okay, you can't piggyback on it and decry it, is what I'm saying. You're on too thin a tightrope. Listen, you guys go into Antarctica. The pitch data is more important than your trip. We'll discuss it after the show. It's one of them.
All right.
It's clear that we don't agree without you being rude. You haven't said that.
I don't agree at all, because I know what will happen. Is that even if what I reckon will happen is, even if they did get the correct pitch data from their flight and gave it to us, if they see this will be after they see a 24-hour Antarctic sun, and everywhere, every news outlet everywhere in the world, I guarantee you, will be promoting that they've proven the globe for definite with a 24-hour Antarctic sun.
Brian's 100% right. That's exactly what they'll jump on, Brian.
And somebody, the pitch data thing will be in some obscure conspiracy video a few years later, where someone goes, "Did you know that the pitch data from that flight didn't match? It matched the flat Earth, not a globe." 5 years later or something, when loads of flat earthers,
My God, you're negative.
after becoming globers again because they're dopes.
You're such a negative. You've got such a negative outlook on these things.
Hold on, it's not that we're negative, Nathan. You're just so naive. This has been going on for how long?
Yeah.
Brian's 100% right. 5 years later, it'll come out as some freaking conspiracy. Like flat Earth is a conspiracy? When it's the other way around? Holy shoot.
Okay. Right, shout out to Jardo again. He says, Flat Earth Banjo video with the interview with PhD astrophysicist is brilliant. I think it's an old one, but you should go over it. Thank you for the super chat, Jardo. I think that might be, is that the video that I've been shared by 10th?
No, that's a different one. I think that's where he mentions you. But the one they're talking about is the Wakey video. He shared that the other day. Remember, Wakey was talking to the astrophysicist. That's working over a second
gotcha.
time.
So Flat Earth Banjo goes over Wakey. That's Mark Knight, and his video with the female astrophysicist, where she's like, "Oh well, if it's wrong, we can just change it." That one.
Yeah, he doesn't even say much. He just puts it out there. I don't know what way he did it.
My favourite bit.
Puts it out there.
My favourite bit.
Come on.
What? You mean you're a flat earther? You're not in this circle of people who punt it being you're not part of that circle. No, I'm not now. Yeah, flat earther. Well, had I have known that you don't believe as I believe, I would have never talked to you. That's what she said at the end, remember?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it was really funny. But it's actually really good. Now I know we're going to be a bit critical about Wakey's speech about science and stuff, but it's like he's so much closer to what science actually is than what this woman talks about. When I listened to it again the other day, it was like I actually was infuriated after listening to it. Because I was thinking, she is such a hypocrite. So, she contradicts herself, and then she wants to talk down to somebody as if she has some authority on something, when she's after spending a whole hour talking total rubbish. Do you know what I mean?
Well, she wasn't.
She more or less. Go on.
Well, it wasn't that she was talking rubbish. It was more the fact that she's just going over a flawed aspect in the model that's being teased out of her by Mark. And he's just leading her nicely. He's not saying very much, but he's leading her nicely and nodding when he needs to nod. I thought he did a really good job, Mark Knight, that is. In terms of her zealotry, it was off the scale. But it was only exposed when she found out he was a flat earther. Up until then, it was all very jovial, and the things that she was saying were devastating and would have never been confessed to if he'd have disclosed he was a flat earther. Oh, we'll just change it. It's wrong. Oh, well, if the model's wrong.
Oh, yeah,
I think it was brilliant. He led her right to the hangman's rope.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I remember as soon as she was skeptical, she asked him what his credentials were, and she figured out he was a flat earther, and she was like, I should have never done this interview. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorites.
I don't know where Mike Knight will still be available on his website, which is wakey.com. But as far as I know, his channel's defunct. So I don't know if he's still got a YouTube channel. He may have a YouTube channel, although I haven't looked it up for a while. But yeah, that Mark Knight, he was one of the smarter flat earthers from the first wave of flat earthers 10 years ago. Him and Matrix Decode, who lots of people have gone under the name of. But nevertheless, Ben and Mark were like a bit of a double act for a time. But originally it was just Mark Knight, Wakey. Very, very informative, interesting stuff. He was a guy who pointed out, I remember when I first met him, there was a bit of a furore over Windows 10 giving the system access to your cameras and microphone. And everybody's up in arms about it. And I was talking about it with him, and he was laughing his head off, going, that stuff was put in like whatever came out in 2007. I think it was Windows 7. And he's like, that was already fully implemented and working in that. It's just they didn't tell you. All that's really changed is they've put it into the EULA. That's it. But in terms of what's been happening, it's just they didn't tell you. And I was like, oh, right, that makes perfect sense. So there you go.
I shared it in the Macabida if you want to go over a bit of it. Because it's one of those videos you could totally go over more than one time. Because there's lots of people that might never, because a lot of people never heard it until they heard it from Banjo, even though it's been out a few years. And so they obviously wouldn't have heard your critique of it, or our critique, let's just say.
It wasn't a critique, I just interviewed the guy. It was at the time that I was doing Flat Earth UK, and I was more intrigued as to how people had made their way to the subject. All the way back then, I was intrigued on the path, because the path stunk. And I'm like, how's everybody got themselves treading this path? And all of them had an element of conspiracy to them. Now, maybe you could say I'd taken a path that was similar when I looked at psychopathy and narcissism. And prior to that, I looked at subliminal messaging, which was done based on handbooks. Like, it was at a time when I was looking at advertising and marketing, and I was doing sales, and I was intrigued with the techniques. And the information I got was literally out of handbooks on how to put subliminal messages from the 60s and perhaps even earlier, training people on how to do it. So I don't know if, some might say that if you're not in the know, subliminal messaging is slightly conspiratorial. If you don't know and someone points one out, you're like, no, they'd never do that. Well, it's standard fare. But that and psychopathy, I don't necessarily see as conspiratorial subjects, but it's still, in terms of the YouTube algorithm, threw up autoplay of Math Powerland while I was watching that stuff, let's put it that way, for me to go, oh my god, it's flat, just from a couple of words out of Math Powerland on, like I say, auto-played video. But that made me think, well, how has everybody else made their way to this subject? What's their path been? And a lot of it was conspiratorial. Lizard people, sorry to shame you, Morgile, but that's you. And, various other Mandela effects, and name some feast of nonsense for me. My mind's gone blank. What was there in the glitches in TVs that were suggesting that people were lizard people when there was distortion glitches from transmissions?
Centers, blah, blah, blah.
Again?
Clone centers.
Clone centers, God, yes, of course. Taylor Swift's a clone.
9/11.
9/11, yeah, all this crap. And I'm like, all these people have come on all these stupid conspiratorial paths to this subject. So there's a propensity, is that the right word? I don't think it is. Propensity, that's the right word. There's a propensity to tag the subject into flat Earth when you're talking about a conspiratorial subject, and vice versa, which just is a shameful brush now that we're 10 years into it and we can say Earth's measured flat. How shameful is it to tar us with people who think the Mandela effect, or clone centers, or lizard people, or 9/11 conspiracies in all shapes and sizes? Why are these people all in this pot? Also, the subject seems stupid, that's why.
There's a cleaner path that's emerged into the subject now, and that's a political commentary. So, for example, The Quartering, who hosted the debate with Whitsit versus Professor Dave's YouTube channel, he has over 1.5 million views. 1.5 million views, yeah, and the video itself has over 100k. So that's a better path into the subject, but unfortunately, Whitsit didn't utilise it and didn't represent Flat Earth well. He didn't even have to cite, or you didn't even ask him to cite yourself or to cite anybody here, just to use the winning arguments, because he's a narcissist.
Hey, no. Let's not label Whitsit anything. That's unreasonable. Right, number one, you're not going to be diagnosing anybody. Number two, I'll just take that as you besmirching him in terms of some characteristics that you might be able to describe as narcissistic, just so don't flag the algorithm and get demonetized. Number three, yeah, criticise his lack of acumen in terms of the subject matter. He's more willing to talk about side subjects, and in debate he's going to be looking for those angles rather than overcoming the actual garbage that he gets presented with. Well, that is something that we can be critical of Whitsit. He's not doing the best job of representing us. Fair enough. Now, when those avenues are open, there's a good reason why Whitsit's there. Same reason Dave Weiss seems to be appointing himself King of Flat Earth. Well, because their argumentation is directly from the Feast of Nonsense table. The table that we all feasted on when we took that terrible stinky path along a conspiratorial route to this subject, with a predisposition to talk about things in a conspiratorial manner, tarring us with a brush of stupidity before we've even opened our mouths, which is a crying shame. Whether or not we can change that is unlikely. But, that's something I was going to bring up. So, if you're a long-standing viewer of the show, you'll know that for a period I had a very, very unreliable computer that was donated to me. Not to the fault or detriment of the person that spent thousands on giving it me. It just ended up being very unreliable. And as a consequence, it got changed out with another computer from donations from a Patreon, which, if you know who you are, you haven't said I can or can't mention you, but thank you very much. And that computer, by coincidence, has been reasonably reliable, but has had a fault with the chips. Like a worldwide fault for these particular chips that are just degrading with time, one of which is the one I've got. It's that particular number, or SKU as they call it. Anyway, one particular YouTuber whose name is Frame Chasers has kept his community sweet and stopped their systems from blue screening ever since the chip came out, and he started fiddling with it and telling his community how to get it to work. Now, all of the massive communities around this guy, not massive, but, in the scheme of YouTube, or us, certainly they're massive, right? Tiny in the real world terms of tech, but nevertheless, tech tubers, by comparison to him, that are massive, are scratching their ass, not having the slightest idea how to deal with this problem, speculating left, right, and centre, putting out disinformation as a result. And he's the first to say, look, I'm sure these people are lovely, they'd be great to have a pint with, but they don't know what they're talking about. Now, none of my Discord server have had this issue. They're all sweet. Now, the overarching point that he tries to put out to his audience is, you've got to, for him, look after your own community, and in terms of you as a community member, don't be looking to Intel or AMD. You've got to look after yourself. Yeah, you can't worry about the fact that they've ballsed it up. It's been like that forever. There's always something that'll make a computer go wrong. And, in his community of techies, they're all happy. They're all playing their games, because that's all they're interested in, just playing games without the computer failing, right? Which is ultimately just having computer stability. So he's learned how to achieve that, keeps his community happy, and says, don't worry about these bigger YouTubers that put out disinformation. They're appealing to people who, they don't care that it's disinformation. They're not going to validate it. They're going to make purchasing decisions based on their size and what they tell them to buy, not on whether it's good or tested, because they're interested in getting their commendations and their free stuff from the manufacturers and putting out reviews on a churn that gets some views. They're not actually interested in whether or not you get a good product that will work at the end of it. So his overarching attitude is, I'll worry about me and my community. And if me and my community know that what we do is good, and they go out into the debating circuit if they are a member of this community, well, I'm now comparing it to us specifically, if our community go out into the circuit, I know they're not going to get their arse handed to them with the arguments we present them. Now, do I have to concern myself that Witsit's community will have their arse handed to them when they go out and try and debate with the great unwashed when it comes to flat earth? I can't concern myself about that. I can only concern myself about the community I have managed to build. And I genuinely do concern myself about that community. So I'll round this out with a comment that was in response to Neil, saying, when someone's arguing about something, Neil pipes up and says, why don't you take this as a teaching opportunity and explain the gravity this guy won't admit to when he says there's only one, and expand on that and then debunk it for the audience. And I say, quote, I don't care. Now, what I mean in that is, when a guy's not giving me a rebuttal, doesn't understand that there's more than one type of gravity, I don't care to expand on what those gravities he's claiming are to debunk them for an audience in that moment, right? I just want to point out that he hasn't got a rebuttal, move on. When there's no fundies around, there might be a teaching opportunity for gravity. But ultimately, my main concern isn't for the new guy that comes in that moment that doesn't realise there's more than one type of gravity. That's not my concern in that moment. Now, as a general
I'd have
rule...
to disagree with you now.
Say again, Neil. Brian.
I'd have to disagree with you.
I
I'd have to agree
did.
with Neil.
Yeah, I know Neil did. Go ahead. You feel free.
The reason I disagree with you is because the audience is listening to it. You don't know who the audience is. The audience is not just the people that are here in live. There's people who listen to it who you don't know about, who might have just come across you. And they hear you saying there's more than one type of gravity, and this guy is saying, no, there isn't. And you then don't detail and show him up to be like, you might prove there's more than one type of gravity, but you don't say anything about that afterwards. It's like, to me, that's like, for to gain people's trust, it's good to show them that you know what you're talking about, and you can detail things that this guy even denied the existence of.
Okay, let's just give you the context. So while you're in debate with a fundy-muting, rumpusing zealot who wants to tell you you're stupid because there's only one type of gravity, you say, I should, in that moment, take it as a teaching opportunity and unpack 5 different types of gravity on the spot with him rumpusing me. No. Contextually, if you heard the circumstances, you'd go, this is not an opportunity to unpack his claim of the 5 different types of gravity. It's just the opportunity to point out, no, you don't know what you're talking about. There are, as I told him, 5 different types of gravity, and I appealed to the people around me. I said, anybody listening into this isn't going to be shutting me down because there isn't 5 types of gravity. Everyone around you knows that. And I think I even explicitly says, I'm not going to unpack your claim for you because it's in the debate. Why would I? Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong. There is, and it was useful to have Neil interject at that point with that, because it highlights that there is a teaching opportunity. It's just not the right moment. But interjecting that this is like in a book where you'd have a little star and at the bottom of the page it would say, just a little note, teaching opportunity, here are the 5 different types of gravity. But in the tete-a-tete back and forth, when the winning point is not to unpack his own claim for him in that moment, that's where Neil got, I don't care. Not because I don't care about reaching the wider audience that may have come on that day. Obviously, that's my primary concern. That's all my main interest with the YouTube hat on. But in the debate, it wasn't appropriate. What was appropriate was that Neil
but you would
added...
have shown him to be an idiot.
It was.
You would have shown him to be a moron right on the spot.
Yeah, but what was useful was you putting in as an asterisk, as a teaching point. So now there's nobody going to be rumpusing this teaching point. He would have. He's telling me through the top of me, telling him that he's wrong and he doesn't understand gravity because he's saying there's only one. He's rumpusing that. But you guys are what, going to say that it's indefensible and I should have took it as a teaching opportunity? No. But we will. We will take the audience through that. It's just on the spot when a guy's chanting through you. It's not the right moment. You should point out he doesn't know what he's talking about.
That was on politics, wasn't it?
My overarching point about Frame Chasers, the computer guy, was that his attitude is take care of yourself and your community. Worry about the people immediately presented to you. The people are in the Discord server. Now, we can try and expand that out as we do on a Friday by going to other Flat Earth / Globe Earth versus Flat Earth Discord servers that aren't run by us. And that expands it out proactively. But for the predominant week, we're in this server concerned with our own. We can't... Just reiterate my main point, it was in there rather than in the summary. We can't concern ourselves with someone else's audience and someone else's community. Our community is what we have to be worried about, and that's what we predominantly focus on. As long as the people in this Discord server understand the arguments, they will be reporting back how they do actually see it spreading out. That's how you network.
The issue is it was the biggest chance so far to expand the community, and it was an opportunity missed because of egotism.
Yeah, I like that you brought that back up because Nathan did his best to get away from that point.
Yeah.
When he tried to say, "Oh, don't say anything bad about Witsit." It's like, you know, you're talking to Nathan. Witsit is a fraud. He's only interested. Don't care what knowledge he has. Don't care how smart he is. He's only interested in promoting ether. He's no interest in anything else. So no, that was terrible. He could have been so much better there if he wanted
Don't mistake what's going on here. You know, sometimes...
You're trying to back up Witsit.
Chill.
Essential. Or don't say this, that, and the other thing. Witsit's an okay fella. That's what people got out of that.
Yeah, you have to appreciate what's going on. That when I thank someone like Neil for putting a point that I don't agree with across, for the springboard action for you to say, no, he's this and that and the other, sometimes I have to be that springboard. Don't cast me as the devil simply because I've offered that springboard for you to moan about. I can't always be the guy moaning, but when I do prop it in that fashion or postulate it in that fashion, don't immediately jump on me like I'm some, what is it, in this case, Witsit simp. No.
That's exactly what you displayed. A complete simping of Witsit.
Not
Are
at
you
all.
joking me?
No.
It's like,
I'm all right. I just heard the laugh.
like,
I know what's going on. I'm going to stop this right now.
Bloody black.
Yeah. I heard the laugh. I know what's
fraud.
going on now. Your fun's over. Right, I'm going to read out a super chat. Oh, it's about Brian. How typical. Brian is correct. Every opportunity to expand the fatal arguments should be detailed, blow by blow, post-argument. There it is. Post-argument. Not in the middle of him chanting through me. Thank you for the super chat, Jardo. Yes, I completely agree.
Hold on. Was it on? That was on politics the other day. Am I right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so you could just as easily have said, "Pop this dude on mute," so I could explain to this moron and to the audience that there is 5 types of gravity. All right, so don't give me with a rumpus.
Yeah, I gave it you as it could be there as an asterisk to be dealt with post-debate. And I'm glad of you putting the asterisk in, because then I can walk past it with it still being noted. It's on the record when you said it. But I can then hand-wave past it. But after the fact, thank you for putting in the asterisk. Well worthy of an interjection. Is this not an opportunity to go through all those types of gravity? No, Neil. But it's there as an asterisk to discuss all 5 of them. You're talking about specific
You think
gravity,
an audience member that just
Newtonian,
stumbles
Einsteinian.
across the show cares about an asterisk?
So notice that I just
somebody
tried
just turned on the
intentionally
show, he's gonna
while
get
Neil was
annoyed.
doing this, just for the audience's benefit, I started listing them off. I got to number 3. Sorry, was that a teaching? My own side didn't let me get to the 3rd one, Neil, in that instance. That was the circumstance. People are keen to talk. I got to the 3rd one, listing them, and then you carried on. Didn't matter that I was listing them, right? That's what my opponent would have done. Just so you've made my point for me. Thank you for doing that. Anywho.
He's too lazy, Neil.
Oh, here we go. I already heard you laugh. You're out of this race. You fell off your horse about 3 minutes ago, Brian.
He's too lazy to do all that.
Yeah, he's hanging on by the stirrups, ladies and gentlemen.
Sentence, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of like he's interrupting me now.
I don't understand the problem with saying no. There's not one type of gravity. There's 5, but let's deal with the one garbage one that you just claimed.
No, their issue is that I've said Witsit's. I said Witsit's awesome by the standards that they're pretending. Before he chuckled, not at all. There's that windmill. There we go. There's the windmill I was talking about earlier, with the blades on it. Go and check out Auto Shenanigans. Was that a nice ham-handed non sequitur segue?
Oh,
Yeah, you jumped out of the escape hatch there.
All you have to ask him is, which of the 5 gravities are you claiming?
I did. I did. That's exactly what I did. And he went, there's only one.
Yeah, but then when he wants to start arguing with you that there's only one gravity, that's when you go through it and show him, even if he's rumpusing you, you show the audience, you don't even have to debate him then, you just show the audience that he doesn't know what he's talking about. So then he doesn't have an argument. So there's no argument to debate because you're showing that he doesn't even know his own stuff, which means he can't debate if he doesn't know his own stuff, can he? Sometimes you're winning a debate that way, without having to disprove gravity or prove flat earth or outlets. You're just showing that this guy doesn't know his own stuff concerning gravity.
So if I was to point out that we've been talking this for about, let's say, 10 minutes, would you agree we've been talking about this for about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Neither of you two have taken this as a teaching opportunity to go through the 5 gravities, but while I've got a fundy rumpusing me, that's when I should have done it. You haven't done it yet. When are you two going to get to it? This could have been a teaching opportunity. I'm going to move on to a video now and just moan about how you two didn't even talk about it. What a wasted opportunity. We're going to cover this video now, and I am going to bleat like hell tomorrow about how they missed that opportunity in favour of moaning about Witsit. Yeah?
We didn't miss that.
I'm sorry, we're covering your video now.
The audience about how lazy the presenter of the show is.
Outrageous. Just list them.
Incorrectly named Newtonian force of attraction gravity general relativity, quantum gravity, electric gravity, aka with it, dielectric acceleration, and specific gravity.
The Newtonian,
Which I hate.
Newtonian, Einsteinian, electric, specific, and quantum. Those are the 5.
Yeah, I always finish on the specific because that's the one
This is
people
the only real
people
one.
are so focused on the other ones. Sorry?
Specific's the only
That's
real
the
one.
only real one.
Sorry, Nathan?
What does NASA recognize as types of gravity?
They only recognize 2.
That's what you should stick with.
Nah, I'll go with the other ones as well.
Yeah, so I'll just make up a type of gravity and we'll add it to the list.
Have you got any details to go with it? Because outside of specific gravity, the rest of them are made up anyway.
That's what I'm talking about. I would suppose you could go into specific gravity, but outside of that, those other ones don't exist. They were conjured.
Yeah, but the reason I bring up all 5 is I can then detail which one of them can be proven through scientific method, which is specific gravity, which I then come on.
I'm saying, why would you even bring up the other 2 that were conjured? Not that you can debunk them. Why would you even bring them up?
Which 2 are you talking about? The general relativity?
No, he's saying why bring up quantum and electric?
Quantum gravity, that doesn't exist. Or the electric fairy tale gravity. I don't know. When Witsit Baghead makes up different shit, should we go and chase it?
It's not about that. It's about...
It's exactly about that.
They're assassinating all of them.
Stop.
about-
How dare
Hang on,
he?
Nathan.
How dare he? The example I made at length was that we shouldn't be chasing after the fans of other people and concern ourselves with what they do. We look after our own in this community. We make sure the people around us have got good arguments. Now you say, oh, it's not really about what Witsit's doing with his argument about electric gravity when I haven't detailed the 5, specifically detailing Witsit in his discussion. That's what this is talking about. Who was it in the panel? It was Central Goat saying, well, I think it was a missed opportunity. That's the whole discussion.
Yeah, but the reason I bring up all 5 is so I can get to, and the reason why I say specific gravity last, because that last one is the one people aren't listening to, is so I can get to specific gravity and then show everyone what it actually is and how that's the only one that's actually provable through scientific method. Basically assassinating any validity the other 4 may have and belittling the other 4 and showing that one. That's one of the main reasons why I go through it, because I can bring them to specific gravity, can show them that it's officially known as relative density, and can show them that it's provable through a scientific method. The other 4 then, what are they after that?
Maybe Admiral will tell us.
Oh, you know, the use of that word, that phrase, specific gravity, because it's like, that's not gravity. That's relative density. There are another name.
I hate it.
Yeah, but that's what's good about it, because if you go on Google, Google will tell you when you look for specific gravity, they literally say, like where they detail it, they literally say, originally known as, or better known as, relative density. They literally,
do you know what this is?
That's what I like about it.
Do you know what this is? This
Google
connects.
it and
Hold
find-
on, just one sec. This connects to what I was talking about earlier with conspiracy theories, right? Something stinks, and you were saying about the fuel consumption stench of conspiracy theories, where they're pretending at one extreme that there's no fuel used and all sorts of other crap, right? Well, this is a bit like that, isn't it? This is the stench coming off of gravity. We need to put more thrown on this subterfuge fire. That's all this is. Quantum gravity? What? Where? Electric gravity? Where? You start throwing stuff on a subterfuge.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to get people to Google specific gravity. That's what I'm looking to end up having happen. Whether they trust me or not, if they Google that, they'll see, hang on, this fella seems to know what he's correct about this. And do you know what I mean? That's why the whole point of it is to funnel them into specific gravity. Because then it can bring them to scientific methods and relative density and, buoyancy, basically. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, everything is just buoyancy. That's what I'm waiting to go off, the everyday person's head. Everything is just buoyancy. That's what, when they think about it. Yeah, steam goes up. There is no gravity because that's all you need. That's all you need people to do. There is no gravity. As soon as people stop believing in it, it starts losing more and more of its validity. Not that it has any, but it has perceived validity when it's the general gravities they come up with, and they're a heap of nothing. So that's really my agenda, the Brian agenda. That's it.
Okay.
What's the point? Where are we headed with this?
I should have taken the opportunity in debate with a fundy that says there's only one type of gravity to point out that there's 5 or 3 or 2 or
2.
move on as I did. I mean, it's up for debate whether or not I debated it correctly.
I'd go with
2.
none.
2 or none or no gravity, right?
2.
There is no mystical
I hear 2. Any advance on 2?
Yeah, 0.
2.
I got a 0. You're out of this race.
Adam's correct.
That is correct, but NASA says 2, so destroy them.
Well, as soon as NASA can demonstrate a downward vector, or bias or force, then they've got a point. But until then, people can claim what they want, categorize as much. There's 0.
That's true in the end, but you'll get there. But at least they have to know that there's 2 offered to them by their religion.
Right, I got a bit of Banjo to play. This was shared by 10th Man with a specific time.
I shared as well. Hang on, Nathan. I told you this earlier, but I shared the Wakey one he put out the other day. It's actually not really him saying anything. It's just purely Wakey's thing with that astrophysicist. I'm just saying that could be a good thing to go over a second time.
We might cover that tomorrow because I'd like to give it some proper attention. Whereas we're coming up on 10 minutes left, so this queued up might only be a short clip. Whereas the Wakey thing we could spend some time on. Explain to him in words of one syllable, so it's very, very easy to comprehend. I've done that in spite of him being my adversary and claiming. Am I playing the wrong video? It's me, isn't it?
No, that's just all it is Banjo playing a little bit of your audio.
Oh, okay. Straight by your lack of. I directly asked you a question about what your independent and dependent variable for your experiment was. You didn't answer me. Now you're out there telling people that both sides are going to agree on something. No, mate, the only thing we will agree on is that you're affirming the consequent. You're assuming antipodal positioning and that you don't know what science is. As demonstrated by your lack of response when asked for the variables that you're not using. So Jaron knows this is a fallacy. He knows it's not an experiment. He's confirmed and had explained to him in words of one syllable. So it's very, very easy to comprehend. I've done that in spite of him being my adversary and claiming I'm a grifter as I attempt to feed my bleeding family by doing this. Nevertheless, he knows. Let there be no doubt, Jaron absolutely, unequivocally knows this is an affirming the consequent fallacy because he's had it explained to him. Well, if there's cameras down there, have we not got phones? Have we not got... Correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen people posting TikTok videos from Antarctica recently. So if they've got cameras down there, just get on the blower. Just say, just go out all the time like I did. I did it really easily for the North. I didn't even need to contact anybody. I just started running a hangout and people joined. There you go. Here's the sun up above the horizon all day long in the North. No worries. It was really easy to obtain thanks to the absolutely amazing internet. But what we need to take a really long journey at great expense to affirm the consequent? Nah, just get it tomorrow if they've got cameras down there now. They've got internet connection, right? You telling me the internet gets turned off at midnight? Oh, okay. So
respectfully though, that is NASA's actual valid excuse for why they've not provided 24 hours. They turn the internet off at night.
Okay. I just need to press a few mute buttons, so I'm a bit out of order. There we go. Sorry. To get all those open lines closed. Okay, right, done. Thank you very much, Banjo. I've just put a link to your video so that people can do the usual, which is let you know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I put that on my comment. I'm like, oh, thanks for the shout out. How did I get here? Oh, I sent me. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Lol. Anyway, do the same. So if you're watching this and you're not familiar with Flat Earth Banjo, go and check him out and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. He's a friendly. So yeah, give him a like, give him a subscribe, leave a comment, help him in the YouTube algorithm. I hope he's put a link to this video, but I won't check in case I have to slag him off for not doing it. I'm sure he has put a link to my video. Thank you very much for doing that, Flat Earth Banjo.
Can I put a question out there about this 24-hour thing? Sun in Antarctica thing.
I'm going to go with no.
Just real quick.
Go on.
Because something I'm thinking about. So let's say they do this flight and they go down there and they do find a 24-hour. Well, I'm sorry. Let's say they do find one, right? They're able to get this evidence of that, right? We all know automatically they're going to ask us to concede that because there's this 24-hour sun in Antarctica, obviously it's a globe, right? Let's say they go down there and they don't find it. Does anyone think that any glober is going to then concede that it's not a globe or this is a problem for their quote unquote model? Does anybody think any glober is going to do that?
I mean, we could start a little Deadpool or whatever. Have little bets on what they'll say. it was foggy. There you go, this one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going to come up with every excuse under the sun, pun intended, to say, well, obviously it's still a globe. We were just we couldn't find it this time, or some crap like that. We know this is going to happen. So, like, to me, it's just all nonsense. Anyway, I'm done.
Well, all you can do is
Brian
point
thinks
out...
he's a double agent, so we could end up in a suitcase.
Nah. It's an affirming the consequent fallacy. You point out the fallacy, show how they formulated it, and then lead them on their way. That's it.
No. We all know when we go to Antarctica and we see that 24-hour sun, we've got our dual Chinook sun model confirmed, proven by affirming the consequent.
Okay, Adam's suggestion is if we assume there are two suns rotating in the fashion of a Chinook helicopter, then we will see 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And for the sake of argument, shock and horror, we do see 24 hours of sun in Antarctica. Therefore, Adam's Chinook helicopter assumption is validated. I mean, we could go on all day. If we assume that there is a caustic coffee cup sun, then we'll see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. We saw a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, therefore caustic coffee cup sun. Anybody got any more? We could go on all day.
Yeah, Brian's Atlantis. So if we go to Antarctica and see a 24-hour sun, then Antarctica is its own separate place with its own sun.
Yeah, Atlantis, okay.
Shock and horror,
What
they did
Chuck
see a
was saying
24-hour
reminded
sun,
me-
therefore Antarctica is Atlantis. Its
Yeah,
own sun.
no, it's its own place. I don't know. Let's call it whatever you want. It's its own island with its own sun. But the sun is small and close to it, so we don't see it. So it has a little orbit or something, or a little rotation around it. Little
Okay.
sun.
I mean, we could also go into the conspiracy realm just for the dickheads watching. So, if we observe a 24-hour sun in... No, let's start with the affirming the bit. If there is a artificial sun generator been created, then we'll see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. We saw a 24-hour sun. Therefore, they must have generated it with an artificial man-made sun generator. Yeah, let's affirm the consequent all day long. It's just a fallacy. Meanwhile, dangerous game for the globe, because they absolutely must confirm it to affirm the consequent. Their fallacy falls apart. Not that it really matters, it's still a fallacy, even if they affirm the consequent and view the claim to be observed phenomena that isn't confirmed yet. Because it's ambiguous. So it shouldn't be ambiguous. And if this proves sphericity, use the North. Really easy to get, like I said in that clip. Why don't they? Well, because they have to assume antipodal positioning. The very reason we should get the flight, the pitch data. So they're not just affirming the consequent with an antipodal assumption. They've got something to verify that their antipodal assumption is true.
every bowler, and I mean every single one of them, up to just before I joined the show, I'm still getting comments on it, and I know I'll get a lot more. Like, what does the pitch data prove anyway? It doesn't prove anything.
That's my favourite response. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Well, shouldn't everything be proving a ball?
It's just, no, I don't know how many comments I'm after getting with that same comment. It doesn't prove anything. Pitch data doesn't mean anything. It's like, no, it does. It proves it's not a globe and it proves it's flat. That's what it can prove. That's why you don't want it.
This is why you need Anthony. If Anthony was here, he'd rattle off all of their rebuttals to us back at the Isle of Man when we had that sort of crap fired at us. And he'll remember all of their garbage rebuttals that I've blanked out of my mind. He'll know them all, and he'll be able to paraphrase them back when they say things like, "It doesn't matter, it's not important, nothing to see here." Anthony Riley will have a pre-packaged response for that. We need Anthony here.
You need to contact Anthony. You need to ring him. You have his mobile number.
I just haven't had time. I will. I'll drop him a line when I get a chance.
I was talking to him at the weekend, so he's doing one.
Did you mention pitch data? Hold on. It's important. Did you mention pitch data to him?
No, Tortoria.
Even your own side, Brian. I said this in the pre-show. It's going to take 10 times before the people around you start seeing the serious nature of it and start getting behind it and parroting it.
You got totally rumpus at him.
You are very despondent because people aren't getting behind you. And I'm like, even the people on your own side need it repeating 10 times. Adam, with the best concise summary of this argument so far, isn't even mentioning it to Anthony. So, 10 more repetitions, 5 more repetitions, because you've gone around this do-si-do about 5 times. This will probably be the 6th. So 4 more times. Go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry to rumpus you.
Sorry, Adam.
No. That was just a point. It was only Skype chat. I'm not drilling it down his head. The data's there. We've got the data. We just need to prove it. It's one of my babies as well. So you don't need to sell me on this one. It's the only point. Don't disagree, me and Kiwi on it. But it's the difference of approach when we deal with flight. I know how devastating this is. It's not just about dealing with gaining altitude. It's about navigating a ball and how the impossible is.
Yeah, I remember your presentation from 7 years ago. It still occasionally crops up.
See, that's the thing about it. Adam's data. If Adam was just some official person working for an official airline and that was official data, this would have been over ages ago. No one can argue with Adam's data, but they can hand wave it if it's not official. That's the problem. And my problem, Nathan, was that flat earthers were wanting to argue with other flat earthers about a heap of nonsense, or they were wanting to be telling me that, Asher, what does it matter about pitch data? So Vane proves it's flat, and this thing proves it's flat, and that thing proves it's flat. It's like, why are you not able to just get behind the one thing? Why can you just take it on board how objectively awesome this is, and how we have an epic opportunity to put someone who's claiming they'd be spending a lot of money to prove whether it's flat or a globe, to show them that they can spend less money and don't have to go anywhere or do anything. You just have to get this data. And that will prove it either way objectively. There won't be anyone be able to argue with it. No, flat earthers want to have arguments about other stupid things or tell me, well, if you don't need pitch data, you have surveying. It's like, oh my God.
Right. Stop telling them that they don't have to go there. They want to go, let them go. Why do you keep telling them they don't have to do that? Let me ask you a question. Would you have come up with this idea? And I know you probably have suggested it before. I know it was something you've tried to get before. But would you be on this pitch data thing this tough if they didn't decide to go to Antarctica? Like if they had never decided this was never a thing, right? Would you have decided to go after somebody for this pitch data? Let's say they were just taking a flight from New York to California, something like that. Would you have come up with this idea?
No, this has been a long this has been a long standing.
But didn't Brian, you went after Wolfie with this a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, he was about to get into
I'm after being after a load of people with this. But I was told chocolate that it costs loads of money and all this other rubbish. So and I've tried to get it privately, and I can't get it. Not so far. So this is a chance to get Will Duffy, who's claiming this is the problem. This guy Will Duffy is claiming he's willing to spend up to 100,000 or something like that, or what he's going to spend. He spent a lot of money to prove or disprove whether it's flat or a globe. And yet he's going to do something that doesn't prove it. So I'm trying to give him a better way that will prove it, and his friend Wolfie can get him all the stuff he needs, because Wolfie says he can get it. It just costs a good few thousand that he knew I didn't have to spend. So now two of them are going to they're both going to have to either, when Will Duffy, I want to see if Will Duffy tries to ignore this or hand wave it away, then that's the end of his Antarctica thing. You know what I mean? Well, your Antarctica thing means nothing then, because this is obviously far more objective. This does prove what you're doing doesn't prove. This does prove. And if he's not willing to do that, then it shows what he is. You know what I mean?
And I get all that. Yes. Okay. One more question. The longer the flight, the more pitch data you would get, right?
Well, yeah, the longer the flight, it's going to be there'd be no point getting pitch data being Dublin and London, because they're only at cruising altitude for 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. It's such a short distance. Yeah.
So this is a nice long flight. Just let them do it.
No. I just had this out with Nathan earlier. No. Never mind the flight they're going to get to Antarctica. Never mind Antarctica. Because what will happen is if he agrees to get the pitch data for that flight, right, they'll go to Antarctica, and if they see a 24-hour Antarctic sun, right, nobody will ever get to hear about the pitch data, even if they have it and give it to us, because everyone will only hear about how the globe has been proven with a 24-hour Antarctic sun, and every news agency in the world will promote it, because they're all going to do it. Nobody will hear about the pitch data. Nobody will want to hear about it, because it's a globe, it's blah, and all the flat earthers who want to not be flat earthers anymore and want to go back to being globers, they'll all rush back. You know what I mean? It wouldn't matter what data we got at that stage, because nobody's going to get to hear it or see it, because it'll be hand waved away, and everyone will be talking about the 24-hour Antarctic sun. Forget all that rubbish. Just get the pitch data from several flights. Don't need to go to Antarctica. As I said earlier, no one needs to fall off any ice walls. No one needs to leave home. Just get the pitch data. That proves it one way or the other. Amalgamating the two of them is not good, because if they do see a 24-hour Antarctic sun and they have the pitch data, they'll give us the pitch data, because it won't make any difference then, or maybe they won't. If they don't see a 24-hour Antarctic sun and they're trying to hide they don't see it, do you think they're going to give us the pitch data? No way. So I want it completely separate. He's claiming he wants to spend money to prove either way. Okay, here's something that will definitely prove.
You can't. You're doing it again. You're
trying to. They're going to give you pitch data anyway.
Hold on. Brian's trying to detach it from the subject matter, while simultaneously involving himself in the subject. It's like when you said at the start of the show, when you present pitch data as an argument, and someone says, "Well, what about surveying?" You're like, well, I'm talking about pitch data. He's talking about going to Antarctica. Now, I understand the reasons and reservations. You've told me them twice, but can you not see how this is a double-edged sword? Can you not see how off-putting it is when you go to somebody and say, I understand what you're doing, but if you were just to do what I'm doing, I've said it twice.
It's not that. I'm holding someone to their word. If this guy Will Duffy is saying he's willing to spend money to prove objectively whether it's flat or a globe, what he's doing is not going to be objectively proving of anything. The most it'll do is disprove a globe. It won't disprove flat Earth. So what good is it? What you want is something that will prove or disprove.
Well,
and that's what pitch data will.
What you want to be his bud and tell him, oh, this won't do anything other than disprove a globe. So encourage it. If all it's going to do is disprove a globe, well, what's the loss to you? Just encourage it then.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But the point is, I have to take into account that I've never been to this Antarctica place, so I don't know what they're going to see. And if they see a 24-hour Antarctic sun, and we even do get pitch data off, no one's going to see it or hear it, because everyone's going to be saying the globe is proven with a 24-hour Antarctic sun, and nobody's going to want to ever see the pitch data. That's the problem.
Maybe. I mean, people won't be aware of pitch data unless you tie it into people's interest in this subject. You're trying to piggyback off the interest, right?
I'm trying to get I'm trying to show. I'm trying to get Will Duffy, right, to recognise it, and then have to come up with some heap of rubbish excuse to not get it, because that shows he's not interested. Because if he's genuinely interested, as he claims to be, holding someone to their claims and their words, then he will not go to Antarctica. He'll get the pitch data. Because someone who's genuinely interested will get the pitch data. An anti-flat earther would avoid the pitch data like the plague. Someone who only wants to get confirmation bias or be sneaky will not get the pitch data and go to Antarctica.
Right, so
or come back with some pitch data that no one's going to see, because everyone's going to be talking about the 24-hour Antarctic sun they saw.
So that's why I'm saying Anthony Riley would be good in these circumstances, because he'd be the one going, oh, you want to ignore the pitch data, really rubbing it in. So lean into it. You're already doing it, and they're already going, it's not important, nothing to see here. Lean into that.
But that's what I'm trying to do, because I know, what's the chances of Will Duffy getting the pitch data instead of going to Antarctica? What's the chances of that happening? Pretty slim, wouldn't you think? Is he going to spend all that money on pitch data? No, he's going to go to Antarctica. But I want him to have to address it. So when he addresses it, and he decides he's not having nothing to do with it, and he's going to Antarctica anyway, and he's not going to get any pitch data or whatever rubbish he comes up with, right? When he does that, then nobody needs to pay any attention to anything he does after that. And I'm just trying to get flat earthers to see that every flat earther has been told about this 24-hour Antarctic sun trip thing. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in this arena. Every flat earther has been told about it. In December, it's all over for you. It's going to be a globe in December. This is what people are being told, right? The ballers won't shut up about it, right? And if any of us address it, it's been claimed that we're terrified of it. And we're not terrified of nothing. There's nothing to be scared of, right? So what I want to do is I want flat earthers to be armed with something to say, hang on, that doesn't prove anything, but this does prove something. We're willing to put our flat earth on the line. This proves or disproves that it's a flat earth globe. This data. Get that data, Will. And if he won't get that data, he's going to be laughed out of it. That's
What's
the point.
The problem? If we go to Antarctica and we see a 24-hour sun, we know for a fact that the Earth is flat, yeah? And we've got two suns operating in a Chinook-style movement. Proves the Earth's flat, mate. Just, I'm being flippant there, but seriously, it's all you need to keep putting to these guys. We don't need, they're so stupid, right? We can't explain to them and affirming the consequent, because that's what they've put together. So just put it back to them with other claims. I'm going on telly, mate. The second they see that 24-hour sun, I'm going to see, told you the Earth was flat. I'll be famous, proving we've got dual suns. Yeah? But that's the reality of where the conversation needs to go. Ridicule. It's pathetic what they're suggesting.
Did we lose Adam?
He's got a call, I think. But Adam is correct. Adam is correct. Because I think it's almost is time for us. Like, if he tries to ignore the pitch data, especially, it's time for the Chinook sun. I mean, it's Chinook sun time, because if they're going to make their stupid claim about it, we can make a stupid claim about it. Because how do I prove that Antarctica is not just some island anyway? That doesn't have its own sun. Right? How do I prove that? I can't. And can any of the ballers? They can't disprove that. They can't prove or disprove that either. So I can say, just like Adam's Chinook sun, yeah, absolutely, definitely flat. Chinook sun proves it's flat. Can only happen on a flat Earth, two suns. I don't care. I'll go along with that. You know, just because the whole thing is such. Adam is 100% correct. I know. I just know. I know exactly what Adam's saying. These bozos can't even see that they're affirming the consequent. And if they're smart enough to see they're doing it, they're willing to ignore it. Because what they want to do is hand wave away the past 10 years of absolute ass whooping that they got off us. They were getting their asses handed to them in 2015. Come on.
No, I was just laughing. You're exactly right.
That's what they want. They want to be able to ignore past 10 years. And if they see a 24-hour Antarctic sun, that's all they'll need to ignore all the other batterings they got.
The batterings and ass whooping.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's just a distraction, isn't it? It's not relevant. Like you say, it's a complete not. It's a affirming the consequent fallacy. It doesn't prove or disprove anything, but it's a nice little sideshow from every argument we've had over the last 10 years. So no, don't look over there. And when we point out any flaws with it, nothing to see here. So it's a joke, really.
Well, how many of them will get together in unison?
Sorry, Brian. I was going to say, if anything, this is more of a joke on them because, again, we've been hit how many times with 2,000 years of science and evidence and this and that and the third, and it's 2024, July, and they're now trying to go get something that they assert should be happening on Earth already anyway. I just see that as a problem. I thought it was 2,000 years, bro. So 2024, we're still gathering up globe evidence. Very nice.
Yeah. Speaking of ass whoopings, guess who was in 24/7 last night and decided the monologue? Charles Flat Earth Math. I put an end to that shit.
Man.
I put an end to that shit quick. Drung him around by his short hairs. It was a bit awkward.
Go on, fill us in. What do you have to say?
I'd love to have heard that.
Not too much. I mean, he was just starting off with this, well, I do, observations in my backyard. I said, you know what I more or less did. Shut the hell up. And then I gave him an equation, not an equation, but a math problem to do, an easy one from back in the day. He couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And everyone saw it.
Hold on.
Laughed at him.
He's supposed to be a mathematician. What was the problem?
Oh, it was easy, man. It was the pressure differential between 0.1 and 0.0000001. It got down to, please, just what's the first step into solving this problem? I boiled it down to that. He couldn't do it.
I remember you pulling him on that before. I remember that some years ago. I remember it well. That he was coming up with big talk and you gave him this little problem and he made a complete mess of it. He couldn't do it. And last night he was absolutely, that guy is a fraud, a total fraud. He's tried to claim to me that he wasn't a geometry teacher after I showed him up to be illiterate geometrically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nathan showed him to be a liar with the radius value. Isn't that correct, Nathan?
Yeah, he said he didn't need to use it. So I showed him about 20 examples of him using it. That's one of the times I like to throw that in people's face when they come to the comments and go, Nathan won't ever leave his echo chamber. Here's me on Charles Flat Earth Math show, getting muted as I point out his lies to him.
Oh, that was you don't need a radius for a sphere, something like that, right?
Yep. Yeah, which went out on his show, pointed out that he was a liar, and he muted me. yeah. Projection. That's why this show exists. I went out on the circuit long before Flat Earth debate existed, and what happened? You start making an argument, and you immediately get muted, or turned right down, shouted over by 10 people. I'm like, this isn't on. We're not getting fair crack of the whip. So you start giving yourself your side. So it's not just globers that are running the show. Now we've got a Flat Earth and me running the show. Oh, right. Immediately you want to drag me away from us having our own platform where we don't get shut down. Oh, you want to claim that we do what you do now. We shut you down. No. I trimmed out a members-only video. Check it out if you're a member, where I show a guy coming on the show claiming that the photo quality from space is what will prove that space is real. I point out second law of thermodynamics violation, immediately ignored. I'm told that, well, nobody's claiming it's a vacuum. Well, NASA claim it's a vacuum. Well, nobody's claiming it's a perfect vacuum. Nobody said that it was going to be a perfect vacuum. That's a straw man. Shutting me down won't win your argument. And I then rattle off all of the rebuttals that I've had from him, with him rumpusing the crap out of me, trying to shut down and railroad my rebuttal to his crap rebuttals with, no, there's no vacuum, nobody's claiming it, and, well, nobody's claiming it's a perfect vacuum, and you're shutting me down to win. That was his rebuttals, while projecting out that I'm shutting him down. Yeah, that's what they do. That's why we need this platform, in order for us to have a fair crack of the whip when they say we defeat you. Well, to the untrained ear, when somebody's getting shut down, rumpused, when they're not getting the chance to actually conclude their point that wins, and that's taken as a defeat, that's unreasonable. What's their response? Oh, you shut us down. Project every one of their digressions straight onto us. No, we don't. We hear your chanting. We win when we overcome it with you trying to chant through us and moaning that you're not getting the opportunity to shut us down, as would usually be the case. Anyway, check it out if you remember. I released it just before we went live.
Yeah, remember Refracted went over onto McToon's with the debate with Ruhif.
Yeah.
And you had to sit there for 25 minutes and leave Ruhif go through a heap of rubbish, a lot of begging the question. And then he got one sentence out of the two, wouldn't let him talk.
Filibustered within one sentence. He had to listen to 25 minutes from Ruhif babbling on. He got one sentence and is immediately shut down. Immediately. That's what you want. That's what they need. That's their neutral platform. Neutral means I get 25 minutes to appeal to the audience till they've long tuned out if they're watching the replay. You get 3-4 seconds, tops. Then I'll turn off your mic, shut you down, tell you that you're wrong. Not give you an opportunity to address a single point in my 25-gun scattergun. John only needed 10 seconds, so they only gave him 7. That's the reality. He needed 10 seconds to point out every one of their arguments needed a flat earth to make it. They wouldn't give him enough time to even say that, because they know they lose immediately. 10 seconds is too long. He'll defeat us. Shut him down immediately.
Unfortunately, I feel like it's only going to get worse the bigger this gets, because I know, because we've been noticing how this has been blowing up, right? The flat earth is becoming a lot more mainstream, obviously, with people like Candace and PBD, and it's just blowing up. It's just what's happening. And we know that that's triggering a lot of globalists. They want this to go away. They wanted this to go away 10 years ago, right? And it's not. It's just getting bigger now. So I feel like what happened to you and what's happening to a lot of flat earthers with just getting shut down with tactics instead of an actual debate, actual arguments, I feel like it's going to get much worse.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope more people come and listen to the discussions that we have here and take heed of the arguments that we put out there. Realise where they've been critiqued by our own side to the nth degree, like today. You know, all we're doing is constantly criticising each other for how well we can be. We're a group of alphas all trying to one-up each other. Hypercritical of anything we do, even slightly wrong. All that does is refine and refine and refine, so that if you're walking away from this discussion forum, like with my comparison with Frame Chasers, you're not getting the blue screen of death when you leave here. Yeah? I can't concern myself with the other people on other forums getting a blue screen of death when they go out with their crap that they don't understand. Well, they're going to suffer the consequences when they have their asses handed to them. Yes, I get it. That looks bad on us. Not a lot I can do about it. My community's looked after. Wouldn't you agree?
I'll concern myself with it. You tried to weasel that bullshit back in here. It ain't going to work. I'll concern myself with it. You concern yourself with this.
I'm being told, ladies and gentlemen. That's me being told.
Yeah, that weak example of your little computer guy. Nah. Sorry. What's it? You're finished. You've been finished. It's going to get worse and worse. Just wait.
Okay, fair enough. But for a primary example, you would suggest that the overarching reason to do it is for the people that are here listening and want to learn, right? You can use Witsit as an example of how not to do it, and that's equally useful. But not because you are necessarily concerned that the people who are on his side are going to go out and do a bad job. It's like, well, you'll learn how crap he was to learn from when you do a bad job. No one's getting behind me on this one. They've already told me, and they're just going silent.
I'm looking over in my recommendeds.
Again?
And I'm looking over in my recommendeds. I'm on a video. I'm looking over here, and guess who I see? Dave Twangles McKeegan with his Antarctica causes so many problems for Flat Earth. Has anyone seen that one yet?
I've seen the thumbnail, and I'm in no doubt it's got 400 million views.
132,000. I haven't listened to it. I just looked over, so I was just wondering if you were aware of it.
No. Like I say, I've seen the thumbnail.
I'd like to review it now. I'd like someone to play it and we start reviewing it.
Got an appointment at 4. So, I mean, I'm going to round out the live show just so I can be accurate in the pre-show introduction where I say there will be an after show to follow. But in reality, it's going to be probably 5 or 10 minutes at the very most. I'm going to thank everyone for watching. So with that, I'll say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned. As I say, there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.